Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel, Jesse's Occupational Awareness. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, kick back. Today's story time. By the way, happy Monday, happy President's Day to everyone. I do believe this is the first President's Day that I've ever had off since being in the military. So, being an instructor here at the training center does definitely have its perks. But we'll get back to the grind tomorrow. Today, we're going to talk about, how do I word it? Well, basically, a very heinous attack that took place at the Mark W. Stiles unit. This took place before I was employed there, and I remember hearing about it on the news and kind of starting to have second thoughts about the job at the time. At the time, I was active duty in the Coast Guard, and I was planning on letting my enlistment run out. That would have been in 2012. I was going to go into the reserves and wanted to start a very successful career with TDCJ. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that the successful career part didn't work out. However, there was a career. At the time, there was very little media you could get about TDCJ. There was almost nothing on YouTube. Excuse me. I remember at one point there was a contraband video that I'm guessing was a cadet that took with his phone, and the video was just a series of still shots. It was at the academy, the instructors in their red polo shirts, the range. The video was up for a little while and then it was taken down. Now, I don't know if TDCJ complained and it was pulled or if the user just took it down, but as far as anything that could give you an idea into the job, there really wasn't any of it. Short of watching shows like Lock Up, Locked In, Locked Up Abroad, all those, there just wasn't much to go on. They had a Facebook account, but it was in the infancy of it. Facebook had only been around for a few years at the time, and not everyone was really into it. MySpace was still kind of the thing. So media could be tough to get to. There was one particular website, I just looked it up a little while ago, prisonofficer.org, and it's a bulletin board forum. And people could get on and post stories, pictures, clips, and you could do searches. State, county, federal. You could do searches by state. Go to it, you click on Texas, and people would talk about TDCJ experiences. And there was this one thread that a prior CO had done. He basically listed every single day of the academy all the way up from the 5 weeks on to graduation. And I'll be damned if it pretty much didn't mirror the exact same thing that I went through, and I did my best to chronicle it in my earlier videos. If you haven't seen those, check them out. They're definitely worth a watch. One of the things that was talked about in the forum was an assault that had taken place at Stiles unit. So it clicked my interest, but it didn't have a whole lot of information on it. So I just got on, did a random Google search, and the Beaumont Enterprise popped up. I've taken some notes here, so I'm going to read from them a little bit, so that way all the facts are straight, I've got the dates, and everything is clear and concise. So, as reported on September the 5th, 2012, Corrections Officer David Logan, age 44 at the time, was assaulted by offender Ray Barrera, who had been incarcerated with TDCJ since February of 1998. Inmate Barrera was serving a 115-year sentence for multiple crimes, which include aggravated assault, robbery, attempted murder, okay, they're 2 separate charges, and a whole slew of others. In short, I don't think this guy's ever going to get out of prison. The only thing the media had listed was that the offender was able to get out of his hand restraints, assault Officer Logan. Officer Logan was able to use his chemical restraint, get the offender back in his cell, secure the door, and had gone to the hospital for massive head trauma. That was it. There was a short YouTube clip of it where they basically repeated the same thing and didn't have a whole lot of information about it. Like, well, what exactly happened to the guy? Nobody really talked much about it. I asked on the forum if anybody knew any other further details about it. Nobody did. So I'm thinking maybe the guy just, hit him in the head and went on from there. Okay. Didn't hear anything else about it. Great. Didn't think a whole lot about it. Great. Let's fast forward to the academy. We're in the first week of it. We're still wearing our civilian clothes. I'd go to the academy in polo shirt, blue jeans, polished boots, all that. There were civilian staff that went through the academy as well. Maintenance supervisors, admin assistants, chaplain. We had a chaplain going through the course with us. There was a lady that was, I don't remember which unit she was going to work at, somewhere up around the Huntsville area. Her name was Ina. I'm going to leave out her last name. And she had been employed previously at the Styles unit, working at the mailroom. Well, as soon as I heard her talking about this, I buddied up to her, introduced myself. Can you tell me everything you know about it? That's the unit I'm getting assigned at. What do you want to know about it? What is this I keep hearing about 8 building? She described that to me. What did you do there? Mailroom, painted it, how glorious it was and how vital they are to the security of the unit. Anyway, and I'd asked her, did she know anything about the assault that had taken place back in last September? She said, yep, she was very familiar with it. I said, well, the news didn't list a whole lot of information. Can you tell me more about it? She said, I know the guy personally. His name was Mr. David Logan. He had just started at there. So I'm not going to recreate the conversation. I'll just piece it together. The gist that I got from the conversation, he had gone through the academy and had hired on. I don't know if his first day at the academy was July 23rd or if that was the day he started at the Styles. Okay, so he hires on in July. He's assaulted in September. Didn't take long. He had been assigned to add SEG, 12 building. That's where I was eventually going to end up. She said what had happened, you work in twos in SEG, 1 in the picket, 2 on the floor. The way the doors work, you can see the door behind me, it swings on a hinge. These doors, they slide left to right. They're electronically controlled. There's a little metal box with a button in the center of it. You have to push the button. The officer in the picket has to push the button as well, matching it. So if you want to open up cell 3, I'd yell out. You usually just got used to yelling it out over the jackasses in there. Roll 43. I'd press the button. And you'd sit there and you'd wait and you'd wait. Sometimes the picket boss wouldn't hear you. Look back. Roll 43. Once the picket boss realized which door you wanted, they would push the corresponding button. You would hear an electronic buzz, a solenoid would activate, and the door would just kind of pop open just a little bit, a couple inches. At that point, you put your hand on the door, slide it back. The inmate was supposed to be facing away from you. I'm supposed to be looking at his back and his hands handcuffed behind him. I'll get into that when I do my tour of a shift at Ad Seg. And then from there, inmate was supposed to step backwards. I'm supposed to put my hand on him. My partner is supposed to slide the door closed, and then the 2 of us escort him. A lot of times they weren't turned around. Usually they were facing us. They'd walk right out. You're supposed to tell them turn around, face away from you. I didn't do it all the time. Sometimes it just slipped my mind. Well, sometimes there could be slip-ups and incidents could happen. You could put your hand up on the button, push it, and realize, wait a minute, I'm not ready yet. And before you get your finger off of it, the picket boss in there already knew what door you were about to open. So to try to hurry it up, they already would have their finger pressed down on the button. And as soon as you touched it, the door is going to open up. Now, sometimes that would surprise you a little bit. Like, oh, okay. Sorry about that. Shit, I wasn't ready for the door to open. Or you're working back up for the other officer. The officer opens the door. Inmate here has your partner distracted, not paying attention. Door opens, and things break down from there. From what Ina had said, this is what had happened in this situation. It was both rookies that were working. I don't know who the second officer was. She said she was a newer female officer. Okay, great. They're working SEG together. And Logan and the other officer, they go to Ray Barrera's cell and get ready to open the door. I don't know how it happened. Somehow or another, from the time he had put the hand restraints on, Barrera was able to get out of them. I don't know if he slipped them off of his wrist or if he had some kind of pick ready to go. More than likely, he had slipped them off his wrist because a lot of times rookies, when they're new, they'll go to put the hand restraints on. Inmate will already start yelling, "Don't put them on too tight. Don't put them damn cuffs on too tight." And if you're a little bit timid, you'll only get a couple of clicks in the teeth. This is pure speculation on my end. I'm fairly certain the cuffs were on loose, and he was able to slip out of them. His partner had reached up and pushed the button. The door popped open, and David wasn't ready for it. Now, what I'm guessing happened, I'm guessing the inmate had already slipped his cuffs. The inmate probably slammed the door open, which would have surprised David. It would have taken about 2 seconds for it to register. Okay, the door's open. Wait a minute, this inmate's loose. He's lunging at me. Okay, that's the element of surprise. It takes a few seconds to react. We teach reactionary gap. You like to maintain a good 4 feet apart from an assailant, so if they start to assault, that gives you that time to respond to it. Working SEG in the penitentiary, you don't have that luxury. You're right up in each other's faces with these guys. So he had his cuffs off. Apparently he had a pencil. I don't know if it was in his left or right hand, and when he lunged out, he basically did one of these, and his hands hit Barrera in the face. Well, this pencil went in his eye, penetrating back into the skull, not on the outside, the inside right here. Slammed it, and this pencil went about 4 inches into the man's skull. He didn't know it. It wasn't bleeding, wasn't nothing. He didn't hit and stop. Once he hit him, the fight was on. And apparently, from what I'm told, his partner did nothing. His partner took off running, ran down the tier, ran down the steps, left his ass. Logan, I'm sure they were rolling around, fighting, scuffing. Somehow, he gets his pepper spray, hoses the guy down. I don't know how he got him back in his cell, but was able to get control. At this point, the picket boss sees what's going on. Picket boss is yelled out over the radio, "Officer needs assistance, officer needs assistance, assault, assault, initiate ICS, incident command system." It's a bullshit security thing TDCJ does. I don't know how long they fought or anything like that, but the situation got under control, and David went on about his business. Okay, it's not like once you're assaulted, you get to go home, you get to take a break. A lot of times when an inmate scuffle happens, you go right back into working. And from what Ina had said, he was working with a new partner. They're moving around, and they go to take a break. He sits down, and he says, "Damn, my head's just hurting." And apparently it was getting worse. It was getting worse. He called the supervisor. Supervisor's like, "Look at you. Well, you're kind of bruised. Just to be safe, go on to medical. Get yourself checked out. Might have a concussion, something like that." David Logan goes to medical. Medical looks at him, and I'm not going to zoom into the camera anymore, but whichever one of the nurses looked at him, looked in his eye, and could see a part of the pencil sticking out of his eye. Freaks out, immediately calls the hospital, tells the guy, "Just sit here, don't move." Ambulance had come, took the guy away to the hospital, had to go into surgery to have this pencil removed from his skull. Well, it was just getting worse and worse on him. Pain was just setting in at that point. I'm sure there was internal bleeding going on. Again, this story's coming from Ida. Okay, I never met David. I don't know what happened. This is strictly from her. And that's when the story had ended. He went to the hospital, and he didn't come back to work from there. It's like, well, did he quit after that? Oh yeah, he resigned. Said to this day he still suffers with PTSD, sounds, things like that. Don't know what career he went on. I'm sure the officer that he was working with, I'm sure she quit as well. If not, I hope another inmate got his hands on her, and hopefully she's no longer with us, because it's shitheads like that that work for TDCJ that make it tough for everybody and make it easy for shit like that to happen. Officers not having each other's backs. I asked her, why the hell, not knowing anything about inmates at the time, why did he attack him? What did he do to him? A lot of times, if you're provocative with an inmate, you're late on their food or something, you can cause shit with inmates by your actions. He said apparently there wasn't any kind of rhyme or reason. He had wanted to lash out at a CO, and first one he was going to attack, and it just happened to be David. No rhyme or reason, no motive, just totally senseless. I said, man, they're like that? He said, oh yeah. Yeah, if they decide they're going to attack somebody, it don't matter who it is, white, black, male, female, tall, short, rookie, veteran, they see gray uniform, black undershirt. And he had planned it out, had it premeditated, didn't care who it was going to be, just happened to be Officer Logan. I didn't think a whole lot else after the story. Went on from there, and that was about it for that. I got the styles. I remember after I'd got to know the FTO, Officer Lewis, a little bit, I asked her about the incident. Like, oh, David. Oh, that was so bad. He could have died from that. I said, well, can I talk to you a little bit about it? And I recounted the story that Ina had told me, and she's like, yep, that's pretty much how it is. I helped take him to medical. I helped when the ambulance got there and they took him away. I was able to give him as good of a story as I could with it, because at that point David was, I guess he was starting to black out from it. The injury was not getting better on itself. So what happened to him from there, I don't know. I just know that TDC lost at least one officer, hopefully the second one, due to that senseless assault. Ray Barrera was transported from Stiles, taken somewhere else. I don't know where, probably Gib Lewis. That's typically where, after a pretty major assault takes place, that's the Supermax, that's in Woodville. The guy that had chunked on me, he had planned on killing me the next time he saw me. One of the SSIs had actually gotten him a broom handle, and he had broken it off and had scraped it on the ground, made it into a sharp stabbing object. I know this because when they went to extract him the next day, he had barred his door, and they couldn't open the door. They were filling the cell up with pepper spray, with gas. He had taken clothes and had wrapped it around his face, basically making a mask. Okay, there's some kind of a tool. It's kind of like the jaws of life. They can stick it in between the wall and the door, open it up, and it basically busts the door off of it. And so whenever they busted it, he came out swinging that damn broom handle with that towel wrapped around his head like some damn Mexican samurai. Was what the major had called it. The major that I was doing my resign brief to, he was the one that went to extract the inmate, because he had worked at Gib Lewis before, and that's where that guy ended up. So I'm pretty sure that's where Ray Barrera ended up. Why did it happen? Man, who knows? A lot of them fucking dudes, they're crazy. I know I have a lot of prior guests of the state that watch this page. If I do say anything that does offend you, hey man, I'm sorry. It's my perspective. I didn't have good experiences with the majority of the inmates that I had. So I'm sure you can understand. You were there. You know exactly what I'm talking about. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Again, I don't know where Officer Logan is from there. This shit happened. Like I say, this was September 5th, 2012. The guy could have died if that nurse wouldn't have noticed that little piece of pencil lid sticking out of his eye. I guarantee you that guy probably would have died, probably from brain hemorrhaging or something. He would have gone home, gone to sleep, probably not woke up. So this shit's real, and there's some bad dudes in there, but it's prison. What do you expect? Folks, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great rest of your President's Day. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. I'll see y'all in the next video.